Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Decker. I'm here today to present to you the work that I did on a DuPont analysis of American Eagle Outfitters. I selected the retail industry because it seemed to me that they had such a difficult time rebounding as a whole right after the Great Recession, and then all of a sudden they had to battle with what was happening in the online space and really go head to head with those online giants like Amazon and really use innovation if they were going to stay alive financially. So I really wanted to see how some of the big companies who really specialize in brick and mortar mall type stores are doing and see what ways they're innovating and who's healthy and who's not. So I chose to look at American Eagle Outfitters. Then I compared their financial results to one of their main competitors, Abercrombie and Fitch, and then I compared those to industry benchmarks. So behind me I have a board with some of the figures that I use to do my calculations. I'm highlighting here 2016. If you also take a look at the written document that I've also posted, you can see how they performed in 14, 15, and then just how 16 ended up being such a strong year for American Eagle and why. So let's take a look at the figures and I'll explain them as we go through them. In 2016, if we look at return on equity and really break DuPont down into its three main parts so we could see, okay, we can automatically see that in 2016, American Eagle's return on equity was 0.2068 compared to Abercrombie and Fitch, which was 0.0273. But then let's dig deeper and let's see, what is American Eagle doing really well? What can I imagine their strategy is based on just knowing this? What am I looking at when I look at their competitors and the benchmark? And then finally, what do I suggest? What would I suggest based on all the study that we've done on financial ratios and strategy? What would I suggest they do going forward? So if we come back and look here, we see that in 2016, American Eagle had a profit margin of 6.2%. This is pretty good for the retail industry. If I move out of the way, you can see here that the benchmark is 4.5. Compared to Abercrombie, of only 1%, they're doing really well. They're beating the industry benchmark and they're beating their main competitor. What's particularly interesting about this to me is that they posted in 2016 same net revenue as Abercrombie and Fitch, but this hadn't been the case. What was happening is that American Eagle was building on revenue, while the opposite was happening with Abercrombie and Fitch. And the fact that as this company was building to 3.5 million and as they were getting, kind of decreasing to 3.5, there's a stark difference in who's doing a better job at earning profit. So we see that there. Moving on, if we move to asset turnover, we see that we take the same net revenue, and it's interesting because they're using the same net revenue of 3.5 million in both companies, but we see that American Eagle is using 2.18 or 2.2 times those assets to create revenue, whereas Abercrombie and Fitch is only at 1.45. And if we again compare it to the industry benchmark of 2.05, we see that Abercrombie is not doing what the industry is doing even, and that American Eagle is doing better than the benchmark and then its main competitor. Finally, if we look at equity multiplier, we see that American Eagle had $1.6 million in asset and $1 million in stockholders' equity. So that gives them an equity multiplier of 1.53. Equity multiplier tells us how much a company is using leverage to get these assets that we see posted here. So then if we compare it to 2.4 million in assets for Abercrombie and Fitch compared to 1.3 in stockholders or shareholders equity, we see that they have an equity multiplier of 1.88. So if we look at both of these, multiply profit margin times asset turnover times equity multiplier, we took a closer look at each individual company's performance in each of these columns or categories, and then we calculated both of their return on equity. We can see that American Eagle is outperforming the industry benchmarks and certainly well outperforming Abercrombie and Fitch. Like I said, what was particularly interesting to me about that in the beginning was that American Eagle kind of had this steady climb up. In 14, they were struggling. They did a little bit more poorly in 15, and then something happened. Something caught fire. And in 16, we see their sales just go up. But what we see more importantly happen is in 15, we saw net income of only 80,000. And guess what? In 16, we see 220,000, which is a big deal. So we saw them almost triple profit margin. So I can see that this company does a really good job in this column. Or as our professor said, this isn't the sister that's causing the most trouble in the equity multiplier or the sibling. But if you compare that with only 1% that Abercrombie and Fitch is doing, and when you look at that company in 2014, in 2015, in 2016, 1%, 1%, 1%, that's troubling. American Eagle continued to climb from the 2.5 that they kind of averaged from 14 to 15, and then just catapulted to 6.2 in 2016. When I was studying this and really looking at how well they do at producing income, and even how well they do at generating revenue from the assets, it started to make me think about what strategy are they using? What can I find out about their current executive team? And I found out some really interesting things. In 2014, I saw that their CEO started to kind of collect the best and the brightest from all of the retail industries. He was cherry picking people who were great at things. He was, as we've heard leadership experts tell us, surrounding himself with stars. And then what they did is they focused a laser focus in 2014 on denim. So, and think about what was going on in 2014. Gap kind of ruled the malls as far as denim. And then I know for me in 2014, I was being swayed by pop culture and the product placement of denim in songs and reality shows and popular TV series. And all of a sudden we were looking at things like Citizens of Humanity and Seven for All Mankind. So those were really selling. So the decision for American Eagle to really target in on denim and find out how do we make it the best, the most appealing to this customer base, the softest, the greatest, at a price that customers are willing to pay. And that gave me my first clue into which generic strategy they were pursuing. And that generic strategy is best cost or best value. As Michael Porter tells us, that is the strategy where companies really look at taking attributes that they can get that are upscale or that differentiate them, and then giving them to the customer at the very best price available. And our textbook tells us that companies who do this, who do best costs as a generic strategy during economic downturns, tend to perform the best. We see that here, but we also, when we kind of marry the finances and the strategy, we see that magic happened, because what American Eagle did is they delivered really cool attributes of jeans that customer wants at a better price point. I looked up, and Abercrombie and Fitch, those jeans are like 78 to 98. Those designer jeans are 200 plus, I know, because I bought some of them stupidly. And then American Eagle, they're like 39 to 69, and that's perfect for me. That's perfect for my daughters. I have 4 kids. I'm looking, in a post-Great Recession world, I was looking for the best value, but I still wanted fashion, and I wanted comfort, and I wanted things that matter. So when they zeroed in, guess what they did? They started using coffee grounds and recycled materials in their jeans. They started realizing that society cares about environmental issues like that. They knew that, yeah, I'm a mom, but I don't want to wear mom jeans. And they knew that Abercrombie was really going hard after that adult, that like 18 to 39 crowd that they couldn't tend to get. And so they created in 16 these jeans called Tom Girl jeans. And let me tell you, the blogs went crazy. I went crazy. They're my favorite jeans ever. They're so affordable. They look great, but they feel like sweatpants. I don't know how they do them, but they're incredible. So given that Abercrombie kind of, was chasing this so hard, but But American Eagle did everything right. They kind of gave this awesome jean product with all the attributes, the designer look, the sustainable aspects. They got the bloggers talking about them, which was really cool. They engaged social media, and they gave it to the public at a great price. They became really good at the best cost strategy. So what now? Given this, given what we know about their strategy, what would I recommend? Based on what I know and what I've learned about strategy, what would I recommend to American Eagle going forward? There had been some talk that they should just buy Abercrombie, and I read some articles on that, and overwhelmingly my opinion and the opinion of many experts is no, it's not the time for that. They're not ready to take on a struggling company. They're in a defense mode, and that's the strategy that I think they have to do. They've proven that they can make money and that they can earn net income on that money. Now they just have to start building a war chest. They have to be able to keep doing. When Abercrombie and Fitch started getting attacked in the 2014-15s for having these models that didn't look healthy and that didn't represent the every woman, American Eagle had the money and the human, the knowledge resources to create this awesome campaign in their Aerie brand where they did these real untouched models and women, and people went crazy. They kind of felt like, hey, I can relate to that. I'm going to buy that, and I like the price. So I recommend build a war chest. Make sure that when you want to come out with a new product like Tom Girl or invest in new technology for jeans and clothes, that you can afford it. I recommend that they continue to maintain that sustainable competitive advantage that the brand has in those awesome stars within their organizations, so that they have the best and the most innovative thinkers at the corporation, that they can continue to innovate in this tumultuous time for retail as they kind of go in this hybrid stage from brick and mortar to internet, and try to do both well and try to continue to make money. So my recommendation is a defensive mode. I do not believe that they should worry about mergers and acquisitions. I think that they should really focus on internal leadership development, making sure that they're investing and they're keeping those hungry stars in their corporation fed, giving them wonderful projects and wonderful professional development and wonderful opportunities to grow within the company and to grow the company. And they should continue to be really good at building assets and making net income so that they continue to sustain in the retail industry in this 2017. So that, in a nutshell, is my financial and my strategic analysis and recommendation for American Eagle Outfitters. Thanks, everybody. See you online. Bye.